Hello and welcome to Who Knew, a Doctor Who podcast. I am your host, as always, Josh Carr. And yet again, I've got a marvellous guest with me, as I do every single week. I never fail to deliver to all of my listeners. And with me today is the one and only Lauren Cornelius. How are you?
Yes, hello. Yeah, I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I am wonderful. I'm wonderful, and I'm very, very excited um, to chat to you because obviously, for people who don't know at home, you are an actress.
Hmm.
I'm sure everyone's going to know who's listening to this. You're an actress, and obviously, you work very closely with Big Finish, and specifically more recently as Dodo Chaplet, the first Doctor's companion, who you've been playing on audios, which is very, very exciting. And it's very exciting to see her in audios because she's sort of been quite sparse for a while. We haven't seen much of her. Um, well, let's get started because obviously we've got a lot to cover. Firstly,
Kidding.
yeah, Doctor Who. How what before Big Finish? What were your thoughts on Doctor Who? Were you a fan at all growing up, or was it something that sort of was introduced to you through Big Finish?
Yeah. I was actually, my dad was a massive fan. So Doctor Who was in our household in that he would watch reruns, he would watch repeats of other episodes. So I was always very familiar with it. Doctor Who wasn't something that I was like, I know all the ins and outs of, but I was very familiar with it growing up and really enjoyed watching the episodes, and especially when it was kind of had its whole revamp. And
Mm,
I got really into it when David Tennant was the Doctor. So
yeah,
he was, yeah, that his sort of block was my favorite. And then and then since I started working with Big Finish, I've got my love for it has grown as I've been welcomed into the community.
yes.
And I've got more familiar. And yeah, it's just such an amazing, incredible world. And there's so much depth to everything. There's just so much going on all the time. I feel that it's a really wonderful place to be. And it's such a welcoming place as well. Everyone that I've spoken to or everyone that I've met within the community has been so helpful and has been so like, oh, you should check out this book, or you should check out this story, or have a look at this. And it's been awesome. It's just been really, really nice. I feel that definitely as I've sort of been welcomed into the community and into the family, my love for it has grown even more.
Wonderful. I mean, it's great to hear, and yeah, it is. It's a lovely community to be a part of most of the time. It's a lovely, lovely place to be. So obviously that sort of obviously, like you said, you weren't as obsessive as people like me are, but you obviously had a bit of foreknowledge about Doctor Who before going into Big Finish. So with obviously in terms of like preparing for Big Finish, because that's a beast in and of itself. It's a mad world, Big Finish. Um, did that slight bit of foreknowledge sort of help you when it came to sort of slipping back in and sort of coming back to the world of Doctor Who a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. Because I already had a sense of the style and a sense of the high stakes, high drama. There's always so much going on, but there's also little bits of wit, little bits of comedy, little bits of humor here. I think that's what makes it so enjoyable to listen to,
Mm,
because you get a full package, you get everything. You've got the emotional moments as well, which is what I think Big Finish in particular do really well, and their writers do incredibly well in fusing sort of like the high drama, the high stakes, the action, so much amazing action, but then with moments of really meaningful dialogue between
yeah.
characters. So you've just got it all going on. And I think that's one of the most amazing things about being a part of this company and a part of this team, is that we get to sort of we go on the adventures just as the listeners do. So we go, and most of the time when we do record, we record in order, so we get to
Mm,
experience everything as you do, which unfortunately, and if you're doing like film stuff, you're jumping around all the time. But in
yeah.
for business, we definitely, I know that the directors try to make it as linear as possible so that we can go on that journey with you guys.
Yeah. Oh, it's really nice. I didn't actually know that that's how they recorded Big Finish. Like they tried to
Yeah.
stick it in order, which is really nice. So obviously, as well, aside from Doctor Who, you are an actress.
Yeah.
So how did you get into the world of acting? Obviously, before we get on to where these two worlds meet, how did you become an actress?
Yeah, yeah. Well, born in Camden in London, to non-creative individuals. So God knows how I ended up in this amazing, weird and wacky world, but here I am. But yeah, I think that how I got into it was actually through being a very shy child. That my parents were slightly concerned that I was never going to make any friends or talk to anyone, so they kind of shoved me into going to some drama classes and theatre lessons and stuff. And it was there that I was sort of given permission to use my imagination, and I found confidence in being other people and throwing myself into sort of like these imaginary scenarios and imaginary worlds. And from doing that, I got to do a play at the Hampstead Theatre, which is a theatre in North London, Northwest London. Did that and joined their theatre community and theatre club school. It's called the Heat and Light Youth Theatre Company, theatre company there, which where I met Daniel Kaluuya because he was part of the same company as well.
Oh
So
wow,
yeah, the Hampstead Theatre massive. So yeah,
that is a name drop. That is a name
that
drop and a
is a
half.
good one.
That's the coolest name drop I think we've had on the
Is it?
podcast.
Yeah,
Usually,
aligned with Doctor Who.
yeah, usually the name drops are relatively nerdy, as you can expect for a Doctor Who podcast. Usually, it's just, oh yeah, I met this Doctor once, but dropping a Oscar winner, he won an Oscar,
Oh
didn't he?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
What a dude.
that's cool. That is
Yeah.
cool, and also has been in Doctor Who, so you're killing two birds with one stone there.
There you go, there
Um,
you go. So yeah, we went
yeah.
to the same we were part of the same youth theatre company, and it's just, yeah, incredible to see his career just go from strength to strength. Yeah, I actually auditioned the other day for a part in his new TV show that he's developing. So
Oh
yeah, Daniel,
wow.
holler at your girl.
Yeah, I mean, Daniel, if you're listening, I mean, go and
Why
do
wouldn't you
something
be
better.
listening?
Yeah, well, of course that Daniel Kaluuya listens to obscure Doctor Who podcasts. Why wouldn't he? Obviously.
Exactly.
Um,
But yeah,
so-
it was through
yeah.
there. So I kind of got into it through being a very shy, awkward child that wouldn't talk to anyone and didn't, yeah, was my parents were slightly worried about me. And then I found my voice going to drama class and at the Hampstead Theatre. And it was just from there I just thought, oh my goodness, this is what people do for a living. This is awesome. I want to do this. And then I went and I did a degree. I went to Leeds and did a degree in theatre and performance up north, which is probably where I got I learned I had my accent training for playing the current role that I'm playing with Doctor Who at the moment. And then I came back down, worked in the music industry for a bit because I was like, oh, so I'm typical Pisces, just wanted to do something creative. Always, just as long as there's music, there's art, there's storytelling involved, I'm there. So did that for a bit, and then went to drama school, and yeah, and then went and got a gig at the BBC on their radio rep company, and then it just kind of took off from there. I found like a real love and passion for radio, and voice acting, and here we are now. I get to be a companion.
Yeah. Well, let's go straight in because I mean, this is obviously what we're here to talk about primarily is, of course, your work with Big Finish. Um, and again, I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it till later because I don't want to go straight in with the big guns because obviously you did work with Big Finish prior to the current
Yeah.
role that you're in. Obviously in various different audios. Um, so how did you get into that Big Finish world and what was it like? Obviously, sort of joining and I said playing these sort of supporting characters in various different audios and hopping between those different styles.
Yeah, yeah, no, it was awesome. I think through my work at the BBC, I think that's where people may have heard my voice, people who are listening and casting new voices, because Big Finish is such an incredible company. I think Jason was saying, I did a convention recently with them in Los Angeles, and he was saying that over the COVID period that he hired something like 2,000 people to come, and actors, writers, the whole big within Big Finish, and it's just incredible. So I think they've got a really awesome team that are always on the lookout for sort of new voices and new talent, and where I'd just been recently at the BBC, I think somehow my CV must have landed on them, or someone might have heard something that I was doing, and then they thought, oh, she'd be good for this part. So then I came in, as you said, and did a few smaller supporting roles, working with the likes of Sheridan Smith, Paul McGann. I got to work with some just absolutely incredible people. My favorite story that I did prior to being a companion was playing Ivy Clark in The Creeping Death, which was written by Roy
Yes.
Gill. I've got a really awesome acid green limited edition vinyl of that, which I need to get framed actually, because I just
Ah,
thought that art was awesome.
I've been on the hunt for that for a very long time because
No
that is a
way.
great. I love Doctor Who vinyls.
Yeah,
I haven't got many because they're very hard to get a hold of. I
I
think
can
I've
imagine.
yeah, they just disappear. They're there and then they're gone. But yeah, the Creeping Death is a great story. It is
Yeah.
such a good story. I absolutely love it. And I've re-listened to it in preparation
That's
for the
the one.
podcast.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and you're absolutely fantastic in it, by the way. As is everybody, because I said it's a great story, and it really obviously it's the 10th Doctor and Donna. So obviously you got to work with David Tennant and Catherine Tate, which is that is so
I
cool.
mean, yeah, definitely. Thanks so much for the kind words. That was, I feel like that was all down to Roy. Roy's writing on that was absolutely incredible. It was just so good when I got that script, because when you do get a Big Finish script, they're like this big. They're, full on Harry Potter novels. It's like reading, and is great. You just know, like, right, okay, no one talked to me for a good few hours. I've got a lot of work to do. So I was sort of like getting through that and just reading it. I mean, I'm from London myself, and I'm from, like I guess a working class background. So there was something that I just immediately related to Ivy on that one, and she's just so sweet, so naive, just such a hard little worker, little grafter, like in the cinema, and just the story was just so clever, just how it came to the being in the light and just everything.
Mm,
It was just one of those stories where I just got goosebumps when I was reading it.
yeah,
And so when I actually then found out that it was going to be with David Tennant and Catherine Tate, I thought, oh my goodness, like that's just a dream come true, because he's my favorite Doctor. And yeah, so I just thought, wow, that's just a dream come true. And just, I mean, watching him in other dramas outside of Doctor Who as well, he's just absolutely phenomenal as an actor. And one of the best things about it was he's just as lovely in real life. And I mean, I think all actors, I'm sure that, well, maybe there are a few narcissistic ones out there somewhere, but the majority of them, I'm sure if you talk to them about people when you work with other actors, you get a little bit like, oh my God, I'm working with so and so. And you think, yeah, I'm hired as well. I'm here. But down inside, you're like, right, okay, I need to not mess this one up. I need to give it everything. But
yeah,
luckily, Roy's writing, it was so fantastic that you completely forgot, whilst you're in there and you're actually recording and you're suddenly in the body of your character, you're in the mindset of your character,
mm,
you're just thrown into the story. And it just, yeah, it was a dream working with the likes of David Tennant and Catherine Tate, because they've been doing it for years anyway. So they've got this
yeah,
amazing rapport, they've got this relationship, and they sort of just scooped me up and took me along with them. And I found
yeah,
it quite easy to just throw myself in. And I feel like that's the trick with all of these. It's just kind of just go for it, just fully embrace it, go just, and don't be afraid to try stuff. And yeah, magic just happens in
mm,
those Big Finish studios. It's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say. Is obviously, I mean, because series 4 of Doctor Who, which obviously David and Catherine is one that I don't see many people who don't adore it,
Yeah.
and it's such a nostalgic era because that's when Doctor Who was just the biggest thing on telly and everyone was watching it, um, and they like I said, they just jump back into those roles and the rapport that they've got with each other and the
Yeah.
chemistry. And again, I think it's testament to the other supporting actors that I say it just becomes an ensemble, and that chemistry just sort of bounces across the whole group of actors, which is
Yeah.
amazing. So highly recommend that one. That is one of one of my favourite Big Finish stories that I've listened to so far. Um,
Yeah.
which,
Give it a listen.
yes, give it a listen. And obviously, there's a lot of Big Finish out there, a lot. Um,
So much.
yeah, it can be quite overwhelming at times, but I think just jump in with your favourite Doctor, like you did. Um, but um, so let's talk about recent developments with Big Finish, because obviously over the past year you have obviously been given the chance to play a wonderful character,
Mm.
um, and also a character that I think it's fair to say that, and a lot of people would agree with this, a character that got a bit of a rough time in the show and didn't
Yeah.
really get a fair crack of the whip, and now through the wonder of Big Finish gets to, like so many others have, and it's Dodo Chaplet. So
Yeah.
what what a great role, first of all, to be given, because as I said, you've got so much room to develop it because the show didn't do as much as it could in a way to develop her, and obviously her time was cut short on the show. Um, so how did that role come about? Obviously, I imagine it was based on your previous work with Big Finish, but how did that come about, and what was it like getting the role?
Yeah, do you know what? So this, I'd love to know how I got that role because I just got a call one day saying, "Would I like to do it?" They think I'd be great for this. They're bringing back the first Doctor and his companion. Would I like to do it? And I was like, "Oh, would I? This is amazing! Absolutely! Like, where do I sign?" So it was an amazing phone call that I got, and it was during, maybe was it the start of COVID? I can't quite remember, but I just remember I was
Mm,
flat sitting for my friend where I got the call about it, and it was just so awesome. And I think it must have been off the back of doing sort of like little smaller supporting roles in a few of the episodes. Every time I've come down to Big Finish, I've just had the nicest time. I've given lots of different characters a breath of life, and I've just really enjoyed it. I got on with everyone so well. But
mm,
potentially off the back of the creeping death is maybe that's what I can surmise might be why,
mm,
because it got such a lovely set of reviews, and lots of people commented on how they wanted to see Ivy again. So potentially that might have been why, oh, okay, maybe not Ivy, but maybe this one would be good for
mm.
her. So that might be how it happened. I don't know. But I do need to ask Jason or Mark about that because I do not know. But when I got the call, it was just a very,
Mm.
very happy day in the Cornelius household.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. So again, obviously because of her short time on the show,
Mm.
not one of the companions that, like in terms of the general public, obviously us fans and more intense Doctor Who fans, we can reel them all off our heads, off the top of our heads. But obviously to the general public, obviously not very well seen, probably as well because she's not really been in any expanded media. Like she hadn't been in Big Finish before. It's a time of the show that doesn't really get explored much in expanded media. Um, so obviously going and doing research for the part is quite difficult because on top of that you've got the fact that a lot of our episodes are missing, so you can't necessarily just go and pick up a DVD and watch her performances. Um, so what was that like about learning about the character, and did you revisit any particular episodes or anything in particular?
Yeah, it was hard. I couldn't.
Yeah.
There wasn't too much out there. So I had been sent some links, and I have to say I wasn't familiar with the character before either.
Mm.
Yeah, for me, I was really starting from the ground zero, and being like, right, okay, who is she? Who is Dodo Chaplet? Like going back, looking at her history, looking at what people have written. I did have to go and do some digging. I found some stuff on the internet. I found some clips, but again, as you said, there's not too much available. And then, yeah, really, really fortunately for me, her accent changed halfway through while she was playing her. So
Yeah.
I was a bit like, which one are we going for then, guys? Because I don't know. I'm from the south. I know she moved down to the south, but she's originally from up north. So
Mm.
where should we place her? So there were lots of conversations that I had, and luckily the guys at Big Finish were just incredible and so helpful. And we had lots of chats about her, and we sort of, again, we had a starting point, but there was loads of room to sort of make her
Yeah.
our own, and start to uh, grow from there. So we decided to keep her northernness, because
Mhm.
we're not in the dark ages anymore, where you everything has to be RP on our radios and television screens.
Yeah.
I think that was historically why there was an accent change. It was due to the fact that they were like, we need to not have any northern voices. Everyone needs to
Yeah.
speak with RP on the radio. So unfortunately, they wouldn't let her have her native voice. But so that's why I think it's important that we brought that back. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, and essentially what I've taken from my research, and from everything that I've been watching and reading, is I wanted to take the essence of the character. I wanted to take her energy. And so what Jackie Lane was doing is awesome, and just such a brilliant. She'll be there forever. Everyone can go back and look at Dodo
Mhm.
and what Jackie Lane did. So I want to take what Jackie did, and then kind of repurpose it, and regenerate it, and sort of
Yeah.
make her my own now. So I'm taking the core essence and core values of what she started, and I'm continuing it for her.
Beautiful. I think that definitely comes through in the fact that, again, it feels not like, obviously that, I think something that Big Finish always nail as well, and the actors in Big Finish, is that, especially when you have a role that's being recast, is that I feel like everyone at the start is always, oh, maybe it's just going to be like an impression, and maybe there's not going to be any depth to it. But I think the fact that there is development to the character, and it furthers the character, and it feels like there's reasons behind bringing the character back. And Big Finish always knock it out the park with their scripts and their actors, of course.
Oh,
So I
that's
don't
nice.
know why we ever doubt them. Um, but I said, yeah, I mean, it's really, really, really nice to hear Dodo in audios, and just to sort of, as I said, have new stuff from that character, and have developed stuff from that character again. Um, because it's a character I was only introduced to, like, in lockdown, when I went and watched a load of old Doctor Who episodes, and I didn't know a lot about her either, to be honest. Even as a lifelong Doctor Who fan, I didn't know much about her, but um, I had this soft spot because I feel like she's a bit of an underdog as well, in terms of the fact that she got, I said, her time got cut short, but
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, I think, again, your performance as Dodo is brilliant, and my first introduction to it, which I think so far, up until today, which we'll get on
Yay!
to,
Yeah,
is yeah, I believe it was the Secrets of Det Sen
makes sense.
was the
Yeah.
first one, um, which, again, wonderful audio, and obviously you were playing across from Peter Purvis there as well. Um, was there was it nerve wracking going into the recordings, and obviously having to embody this character that had...
Oh my God, was it? Yeah, absolutely. Because it's kind of, as you said, not too many. She wasn't around for too long, so potentially a lot of the fans might not have remembered her. So it may
Mhm.
well have been a case of starting from scratch for a lot of people. But I always knew that there were going to be fans that would have known who this character was and would have seen those episodes. So I did feel like I want to get this right. I want to do justice to what Jackie had already started with Dodo, and I wanted to continue it in a positive manner. I didn't want to just come in, be completely ignorant to who she is and what someone had already done. So I thought I wanted to come and be respectful and take what I could and continue building upon that. So yeah, I was quite nervous because I did a lot of work on her energy and capturing that and how I wanted her to sound and how we wanted her to sound as part of the team as well. So yeah, but I was working with Lisa on that, Lisa Bowerman, and she was, I mean, she's a fantastic actor as well as a director, and she was just so I couldn't have asked for anyone better to do my first episode as Dodo with, because she was just super helpful, and it was great. Unfortunately for that one, I was recording in my home studio, aka my Harry Potter cupboard.
Right.
So
Okay.
it was a cupboard, literally a coat cupboard under the stairs, and so I was sat on an upturned bucket with on a cushion for like 2 days straight, and it was in pitch black as well. I had to buy some battery powered lights so that I had some light in there so that I could read my script. I've got my laptop connected. I've got the mic here. I've got like my Harry Potter novel here, like
Yeah.
all these pages. So there was a lot going on as well in terms of behind that you guys would not have
No,
seen.
you don't get that at all because, again, the wonder of Big Finish is that you're immediately transported into that time period, and you're in those temples, and you're in the
Yeah,
snow, and
we're in the
you're with the
Himalayas. Yeah.
Yeti, and yeah, I mean, it must have been hard to sort of imagine yourself in those situations whilst you're sat on a bucket.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean, it's quite. Do you know what though? As much as it was quite restrictive in a way, because obviously I was in quite a small confined space, and normally when you're in the studio, you can choose really, but I tend to stand up a lot of the time just because I
hmm,
feel that it's all in your body a lot of the time. You can get energy and you can be running on the spot, or just
yeah,
moving on the spot. You can be sat down, you can be looking around. There's a lot of physicality that I find goes into voice acting that people might not necessarily think does. They just think, oh, it's just your voices, you're just all sat around drinking tea and doing voices, but actually it's quite tiring work because you're doing all the moves as if it were for camera, but you're just kind of doing it on the spot. But that's still, you're still going through every emotion, you're still going through everything that you're doing, your body's still in a state of like distress or whatever, whilst your adrenaline, whilst you're in these high stake moments. And I feel that was something that you can definitely get to in the cupboard,
mhm,
recording from home during COVID, but it's a lot more freeing when you're in the studio and you're bouncing
yeah,
off the other actors as well. But yeah, my first one was at home doing it remotely. But saying that, where it was so dark in there, that was actually to my benefit because I've got a wild, vivid imagination anyway. But I could, in front of me, where I couldn't see anything, I was just listening to the other actors and reading the
mhm,
story, and I just completely threw myself into it. And visually, I could see it. Then it's kind of, I guess, like when we listen to audio stuff, I like to listen with my eyes closed or just sort of like looking down or whatever.
yeah,
So then everything, you create the cinematography, you create everything in your mind. So I was kind of doing a lot of that, which, so my imagination was just running riot recording that
yeah.
one in
Oh,
particular.
that's great. And yeah, again, again, it's such a great track record with amazing stories as well. Because I think I think Det Sen was felt like a really nice nostalgia trip for me back to
Yeah.
like watching those first Doctor episodes of that era,
Mm.
because it just nails the vibe. It just gets like I can see it. I can see not just the story. I can see
Mm.
it in my mind when I can see it being filmed. Like I can see the actors, like, and I can see little mistakes being made, and I can see. I said it just nails the vibe of '60s Doctor Who for me.
Oh,
Um, and it's a great story for Dodo as well. She gets a lot to do, and again, it's so nice to be reintroduced to this character, and again, like have a like do quite a lot in the story and be active in the story, um, and get those lovely interactions with the first Doctor as well. It's just really nice, really nice. And then that brings us to today, literally today,
Yeah,
because
it's
as we
crazy.
are recording this, today is the day that the Outlaws is released, which is the first Doctor. Um, I can't remember the exact numbering of it, but it is a first Doctor's Adventures set. Obviously starring yourself and the new first Doctor for Big Finish, Stephen Noonan, which is very exciting because it's been a little while since we've had a new Doctor actor, and some obviously that being recast for audio. Um, what was it like working with Stephen? I imagine now, because of COVID, obviously now things are dying down slightly. You may be back in the studio for those, or
Yeah, I have to say I was super lucky and we got to do those in person, which was amazing because, it was the first time that, well, it was kind of life imitating art as well there, because it was the first time that I was meeting Stephen and working with him. And it's just kind of, it's Dodo and the Doctor's relationship. It's early stages of their relationship as well, and their friendship growing. So it's kind of, it was really nice in that we got to do that in real life too. So we got to chat a bit about, like as you do, you make small talk initially, and then by the end of it we're just like old friends. So
yeah,
yeah, it was really really nice to start developing our own relationship as actors, as Lauren and Stephen, so that we can develop them even further as Dodo and Doctor. So
yeah,
it was really awesome. He's hilarious, he's so funny, just really really good laugh. And yeah, all throughout those, I mean, you will have heard it through the years of the other actors saying it, but his ad-libbing is quite something. So
mm,
I never knew. I think Nicholas Briggs, who was directing us, he did initially start by saying, right, Lauren, on this page after this cue, Stephen's going to say this and this. By half, I wasn't not even sure we got halfway through, he was just like, yeah, Stephen, he's not going to do that line, so just be ready. So I was like, right. I was just always just ready for a new, a totally different line to come my way,
yeah,
and I had to react to it. So yeah, which is always fun. It keeps you on your toes, definitely
yeah.
working with Stephen.
Definitely, definitely. And he, I mean, obviously, unfortunately, because the time that we're recording this, I haven't had the chance to listen to all of it, but I have started listening to it
Ah,
this morning and really enjoying it so far. I'm absolutely loving it. I think I'm only just at the end of part one of The Outlaws.
nice.
So I am loving it so far. And again, the chemistry between you and Stephen is just so great, and it just captures that Hartnell and obviously Jackie Lane relationship really nicely. Absolutely loving it so far. And like I said, it's great to hear these new adventures. And I'm very excited to listen to the rest of the set. Very excited.
Yeah, definitely. There's two episodes on there, and they were completely different in
Mm.
style to record as well. So we'll probably notice one of them, the miniaturist, is just a totally different vibe. For me, I had
Mm.
nightmares reading that one. So spoiler alert. Yeah, just listen with the lights on, or
I'm
not while you're
excited.
driving, because if you have to drive home, because I know lots of people, this is what I always find fascinating when I ask people, so when do you like to listen to your audio dramas, and yeah, if you're driving, a couple of people have said, oh, the spooky ones are actually like things happen really suddenly, so it's quite dangerous to listen while you're driving if it's dark and you're a bit jittery.
Yeah,
But yeah, that one's a totally different vibe. It's really
yeah.
really eerie, but the
I'm
Outlaws is just chaos and comedy.
Yeah, I might have to be careful because I've started listening to Big Finish at the gym, and
Ah.
I don't want to listen to something scary and pull a muscle or something.
Full of
Um,
muscle, exactly. Yeah,
um, but yeah, absolutely loving it. And obviously,
no.
I could sit and chat Big Finish all day because it's a baffling world of
Oh,
so
it's
much
wild.
talent and madness, and there's so much of it, and it's so hard to keep up sometimes, and getting into it can be daunting. But my recommendation, as someone who's recently started getting into it a bit more, is just dive in, dive
Dive.
in, dive in with the Outlaws. Why not?
Why not?
Great place to start.
That is a good place to start,
It
definitely. That was
is
a lot of fun to record for sure.
very good place to start. Now, no DVD collection this week.
It's a fake. It's fiction. It's an urban legend that never happened. No way. We got you. Not a chance. Not this time.
By the power of Grayskull.
The Unicorn and the Wasp, or Love and Monsters.
Which one do you think I'll prefer?
No, I mean, which one do you want to watch first?
You are pulling my leg.
Well, here you go. For anyone who is listening to the end of the podcast, here's a little bonus bit. Lauren has decided to put Blink in the DVD collection.
Blink is that, but I just didn't want to get the name wrong.
That's fine. I'm gonna slot this in
my head.
seamlessly because, as I said, you couldn't remember the name of the episode, but it's absolutely fine. It's Blink. I mean, it's a classic. Everyone's going to be on board with that because
There you go.
Blink is a classic. Why do the Weeping Angels scare you so much?
Oh my!
Which is such a stupid question because they scare everyone. Why am I asking that?
They're terrifying, but as villains, oh my god, they're just so awesome. But yeah, it's them and Davros, and those are the ones that terrify me the most.
Oh,
but,
Davros is scary.
Davros is terrifying, but one of the coolest villains ever.
Yeah.
And Terry Malloy, who plays him, is quite possibly the nicest man that I've ever met. I met him in Chicago. He is just amazing, and I sat next to him and I had a mojito with Davros.
Yeah, that is a story and a half. And Terry Malloy actually lives near me.
No,
I don't know where, but obviously, thank God I don't know where because I'd probably get a restraining order. But yeah, Terry Malloy lives near me, and I've seen pictures of him like campaigning for like rights for people in the streets of Norwich, which is so cool. And Davros, the people's warrior.
People's warrior. And he loves rum. So if you do want to make friends with him as he is your neighbour, just drop him off some rum because the man is very partial.
I love a rum. I love rum. I might go.
He's a rum connoisseur.
A rum connoisseur. Oh,
yeah.
I might have to. Right, I'm going to try and hit him up, get him on the podcast. I'm going to have a rum with Davros.
Exactly. I feel like that needs to be an episode in itself.
Life goals: rum with Davros.
Let's make it happen.
Has now been added to the bucket list. But yeah, there you go. There's a little add-on. I'm going to slot this in the middle of the podcast. Why not? Blink is in the DVD collection because it's bloody scary in it. Would you want to meet the Weeping Angels as Dodo?
Oh, absolutely. I actually had the pleasure of meeting them at Gallifrey, and every time they would make me jump. When I was just walking, they knew that they terrified me, so they would do it on purpose. When I was just walking around the auditorium, one was behind me, and I was like, "Woo!"
Yeah, I went to Time Fracture, the live theatre thing in London, and spoilers. The Weeping Angels pop up in that, and oh my lord, I did not cope well. Screamed a little bit, just a little bit, just a little bit. But there you go. That was the DVD collection. Just added on for you there. But we are going to take some questions from our wonderful, wonderful listeners over at that wretched hellhole that is bloody Twitter.
For God's sake! Bloody Twitter!
Twitter! We love it and we hate it.
We love it and hate it. It's a hell pit of doom scrolling, isn't it? So we've got a few questions, which I'm going to grab my phone for because my eyesight is increasingly terrible, and I don't want to be squinting at the screen. Yeah, me too. So the first question is from @DoctorWhoStyle, and they have asked, what was the hardest part about playing the role of Dodo? What is the hardest part? I don't know why I read that in the past tense.
Yeah, what is the hardest part? That's an interesting one. I suppose initially it was just knowing where to place her voice and
Yeah.
knowing sort of and me being from the south, it's kind of wanting to do a nice a good northern accent. So it was sort of I went to university in Leeds, so I kind of when I was in the initial discussions about where we're going to place her, so I was like, I feel that she would be Yorkshire, and that's actually what Mark Wright said, that he would like, where he would like for her to be from, and where he would like for me to place that accent. So it all kind of came together really nicely, because I was like, great, because that's my favorite northern accent that I feel most comfortable doing, and I think just being around that accent for sort of 3 years, I feel at home there. So yeah, that was probably the most tricky thing, was figuring out where we wanted to place her, because then again, we didn't want to make it too broad, and we didn't want to make her too strong, because she did move down to the south. So it was, again, it wasn't just a case of, right, oh, we'll just do this. It's kind of, oh no, I need to work on this and get this quite right, because it doesn't, I want to make it sound as so it's a lighter, more accessible northern accent. So to make her sound as
you're not going like full E by gum.
Come on, Yorkshire, no.
No, you're not going that far. But no, lovely to hear as northern. I was very happy about that, because I was like, yes, bit of northern rep. For my girl Dodo. Our next question is from Cal at generic_tweeting. Dear friend of the show. He has asked, taking on the role of Dodo 55 years after the late Jackie Lane last portrayed her, must have been nerve-wracking. But was there anything you took in particular from her performance that you worked into your own to carry that piece of her forwards, or did you prefer to make it your own and separate it slightly?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I loved watching bits of what she was doing, and I wanted, what I loved about what Jacqueline was doing, she's so sassy. She was quite sassy, and I wanted to take that forward with me, and bring that into my portrayal of her. So bring the element of sass from Jackie's previous performances. And what's funny is she's always got really cute outfits on. That's one thing I need to talk to the guys at Big Finish and be like, can I get a budget for wardrobe, please, so that I can just wear all of Dodo's fun outfits.
Yeah. Yes, she obviously all the 60s companions got some great gear to wear.
Great wardrobe, yeah.
It's and then all the 70s ones as well. I mean, I don't know if you've seen some of the 80s companions, but it goes off the rails there. It goes off the rails, and not a lot of cloth for the women, unfortunately, to wear. They
but the 60s, great.
Yes, definitely. And our final question is from Jack at Ann_awful_Jack from An Awful Lot of Running Podcasts. Very dear friend of the show. He said, bloody marvellous guest. Lauren, loving your portrayal of Dodo. It's amazing how you've taken a character who, although portrayed wonderfully by the late Jackie Lane, was given little depth, and you've made her even more wonderful. Enough waffle. My actual question. Prior to working with the different first doctors that you've worked with, and also working with three other doctors, I believe you worked with Tom Baker, Paul McGann, and David Tennant. Who is the next doctor on your bucket list that you are dying to perform with?
Oh, that's a good one. I'd really like to work with Christopher Eccleston.
Ah, great pick. My favourite. Definitely
my mum's
favourite
as well. And yeah, he's actually, when I recorded The Outlaws, he was in the studio next door recording one of his ones. So, of course. So there was the whole Doctor Who party going on at the Sound Lab where we recorded. And he was just telling, his energy's amazing, and he was just telling some just absolutely incredible stories in the green room. And I just thought, I'd love to come and work with you, go on an adventure with you.
Yeah. Oh well, that would be a lovely basis for an audio going forward. The Ninth Doctor going back to visit Dodo. That That's the dream.
Let's make it happen.
I think Roy Gill, you need to
our man,
start
our
writing.
boy.
Start
Yeah.
writing. So that was Bloody Twitter. Thank you everybody who submitted questions. And we're coming quite close to the end of the show, which is a shame because I said this is very, very enjoyable. I'm loving it. And I'm loving talking about Dodo.
It's gone so quickly.
It has gone quick. I mean, before we go, there is one feature that we're gonna stick with this time, and that is the Corridor of Fame.
Have you ever been limited by who you were before?
One day, I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back.
Our lives are different to anybody else's. That's the exciting
Yeah? Sarah Jane?
Do I have the right?
Some people, small, beautiful events is what life is all about.
In the nursery compared to us. 10 million years of absolute power. That's what it takes to be really
Every great decision creates ripples. Like a huge boulder dropped in a lake.
But it was a childish dream that made you a doctor. You dreamt you could
No more.
I'm not just the time. I'm the last of the time.
It just disappears, doesn't it? Everything you are gone in a moment, like breath on a mirror.
I do what I do because it's right. Because it's decent. And above all, it's kind.
Love abides in the face of everything.
So for anybody listening at home who has not heard the pod before, or you've just not gotten this far in before, the Corridor of Fame is basically a hall of fame for Doctor Who, and there are many names on there already, and some of which you may know yourself, Lauren. Some big Finnish names in here, like James Goss, Scott Hancock, got Louise Jameson. There's loads of people in here, loads of people. I sprung this on you quite last minute, so apologies. But
No.
if you had to pick someone who has played, who you believe deserves their portrait hung in the Corridor of Fame, who would you pick?
I'm giving this to Mark Wright, producer of the Outlaws. So he's an unsung probably hero at Big Finish, but he writes articles, he edits on a magazine. He just was my port of call for anything while I was sort of recording the last 2 episodes, and he was just full of knowledge, the best energy, just an absolute joy to work with, and so he gets my vote, Mr. Mark Wright, not the one from
Lovely. Not the one from Essex.
not the one from Essex, not to be confused.
That's a great pick. And as I said, I love the picks that are unsung heroes, as you said. You know, people who don't often get their time in the limelight. And that is a lovely pick. And yeah, it's great. Welcome, Mark Wright, to the Corridor.
Yes,
You're stuck here forever now with all of these old Doctor Who people. You're stuck in there.
People love it.
So that brings us, I said to the end of the show, nearly. I do have one last question, which again I am springing on you, as I spring on everybody who comes on, and it's always one that people struggle with. But I'm intrigued to hear your answer as someone who isn't necessarily as intense a fan of the show. Your involvement is quite different, so I'm intrigued. The question is, in a sentence, roughly, what does Doctor Who mean to you?
Doctor Who is, I was going to go Doctor Who is life, but I'll stick with it. But Doctor Who is life. Doctor Who is life because Doctor Who is so freeing. Doctor Who is just so exciting, it's wonderful, it's wacky, it's weird, it's bizarre, anything goes. It's just so it's just very cool.
It is. It is very cool, and we as fans, I, I am I am speaking on behalf of the conglomerate.
Yeah.
I'm speaking on behalf that we're very happy to have you as part of Doctor Who. It's been great, obviously, seeing you in these supporting roles, and now taking on the role of a beloved companion and making it your own, like you said. And
Oh man.
it's going so well so far. And I've already, as I said, The Outlaws is out today. So I said I haven't had the chance to listen to all of it. I'm going to try and listen to some more tonight because I'm very excited. But I've seen some great reviews, and actually someone messaged me before I started recording in a group chat that I'm in, saying that your performance is brilliant. So as I said, it's going swimmingly.
Oh, that
Um,
means so much. So thank you. I really appreciate that because it was a completely daunting process to come in and do. But I've had the time of my life so far, and yeah, I'm just really looking forward to recording Dodo's next adventure.
Good. I was going to say I am hoping that obviously I know you might not be able to say much about what's coming next, or else Nick Briggs might come get you. But yeah, I mean we're very excited to hear, and obviously we're excited to see whatever Dodo does next.
As am I. I can't
Yes.
wait. She's buzzing. Let me tell you, Dodo's for one buzzing for her next adventure. I love
bet
that
she
about
is.
her.
I
She's
bet
just
she
ready.
is.
She's like, come on then, let's go. She's
Let's
got an
do
outfit
it.
for every occasion.
Yeah. Um, well, before we go, as I said, everyone knows you already, but this is your time to plug anything you want to plug, any stuff that's coming up. Obviously, The Outlaws out today. Go buy from bigfinish.com. Blah blah blah. But plug away anything that you want to shout out, anywhere you want to point people. Go for it.
Oh, well, yeah. The Outlaws, just check it out. There's two episodes on there. They were super fun. And there's a film that should be coming out later on this year called Murder Ballads: How to Make It in Rock and Roll. So I'm in that film as well. So keep your eyes peeled for that one. If you like heavy metal and you like music and you like films like Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz and tongue-in-cheek British comedy, then hopefully you'll like that too. So I'll keep you all
Lovely.
posted. So you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll post updates on that. It's Lauren_Cornelius on Instagram, and on Twitter it's @L_Cornelius_. There we go.
Yes, wonderful. And the podcast as well, my time to plug. You've been listening to Who Knew, a Doctor Who podcast. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts, and on YouTube, where you get lovely video versions as well. You can follow us, like, share, subscribe, do any of that, because it really helps us out. And you can also find us on Twitter @WhoKnewPodcast, on Instagram @whoknewdwpod. I've not updated that for ages. Apologies. We're on TikTok now because I'm down with the kids @WhoKnewPodcast, where I'll be posting clips from various podcasts, and I'll probably start just posting a load of weird shit on there probably. And you can also help if you want to help out the podcast. You can sign up to the Patreon. You get early access to guest announcements and early access to pods where available. And I might even give you a snazzy little Who Knew badge if you want one.
Amazing!
If you want it, you can.
Oh my
have
God.
one.
Can I have one? I really want one.
You can have one. Yeah.
One.
There you go. I'll post it. I'll post you a Who Knew badge. And you can get, if you want more Who Knew clobber, there is also a merch store where you can buy a Who Knew t-shirt or a hoodie or a sweatshirt or a mug or something else. You can buy loads of stuff on there. And again, it helps out the podcast. So again, thank you, Lauren, for coming on. It's been absolutely wonderful speaking to you.
Oh, it's been awesome. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm so excited to hear what people think of the Outlaws and Dodo and her adventures.
Yes.
So stay tuned.
Send reviews Lauren's way and tell her how amazing it is, because it's great. And I will see all of you very soon. Bye-bye.
Awesome. Bye.
Big thank you to all of our patrons, and a massive shout out to Alfie Innes and Cal King. Thanks for listening to Who Knew, a Doctor Who podcast. You can check us out wherever you get your podcasts and now on YouTube. Please subscribe and leave us a review wherever you can, as it really helps us out. And a massive thanks to the Sononauts for lending their cover of the Doctor Who theme to be the theme for the podcast.